Alliance motion and amendment. Thank you.
I call Jim Allister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. In opening this debate, Mrs Armstrong made a number of powerful points, which I think would be hard to refute. She does have a legitimate grievance about the fact that her designation is less equal than others. And she is right when she says that the very system perpetuates a division. And that, of course, is the outworking of the very agreement that the Alliance Party were cheerleaders for, namely the Belfast Agreement. And whereas Mrs Armstrong said that mandatory coalition does not work, the sad thing about her motion and amendment is that that issue is utterly avoided. The gaping void in this motion and amendment is there any reference to mandatory coalition, a system which inherently, congenitally, is incapable of working, because it is based on a number of unworkable premises, one of which is that you don't have to be agreed about anything in order to be in government. Hence, no surprise that when in government we have the dysfunctionalism, the disagreement, the shambles that characterises these institutions. And of course, the other fatal flaw in mandatory coalition is that it denies the electorate the most fundamental right that any electorate has, namely that to change their government. Yesterday I quoted the late Tony Benn and his 5 democratic questions. The 5th one was, speaking of government, how can we get rid of you? If you can't get rid of the people who govern you, you don't live in a democratic system. And that is the very essence of mandatory coalition. Provided a party continues to hold a handful of assembly members, they are guaranteed, as of right, a place in government. They remove from the electorate the right, therefore, to vote a party out of government. Across this world, people go to the polls more often than not, inspired by the determination to vote a party out. But in this country, we are denied, because of the iniquity of mandatory coalition, of that basic democratic right. And there will never be stability. There will never be a working system of government in these institutions so long as there is mandatory coalition, because it disincentivises the need to agree about anything, and it fundamentally denies the electorate the right which should be the most cherished, that of changing their own government. So you all sit here cocooned in the knowledge that no matter how big a hames you make of government, provided you hang on to a handful of seats, you cannot be removed. What sort of a farcical system is that? And then we are surprised when some come to this House and say, weep crocodile tears about it not working, about the dysfunctionalism of it, about it falling apart. Of course it's going to fall apart. It's incapable of holding together. The only glue that holds it together is the self-interest of being in government, in the sure and certain knowledge you can never not be in government. And if you then build into that farce the fact that you can only have a government if at its top and its heart you have a party that doesn't even want Northern Ireland to exist, then you arrive at the ultimate farce of why this system of government can never work, will never work, cannot bring good government, and will but continue to bring the dysfunctionalism that is a shame upon this system.
I call Jerry Carroll.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. I rise to support the motion and the Alliance amendment. Mr. Speaker, it's clear that change is urgently required in this arena, and we will support a report being completed which would initiate that process.